Yes, he joins his awesome foursome teammates, Mike Mackay, Nick Green and Andrew Cooper. To make the presentation, who else? The President of the AOC, John Coates. A couple of old rowers. Oh. Right up, mate. He's put it on back to front. Yeah. Now, John Coates holds a very special place in your life because he's presented an Olympic gold medal to you and you rode to victory in Athens with Drew Ginn in the John Coates.
Yes. No, not in Athens, actually. I think it was in Barcelona that we rode in John Coates.
No, Athens. I asked him.
Well, he's wrong. Because we rode in a boat called Simpatico, which we found out we spelt wrong afterwards when we watched the video back. But anyway. I'm
not asking about that, but it was good to see John Coates.
It was good to see
He's
John,
a lovely
yes.
guy, and he put the medal on backwards.
He put the medal on us in Athens. That's what he did do.
Oh, he's got it all back to front. I was talking to him before. Now, the big paddle. They said this was the paddle of a lifetime. Wadigo's Beach, Byron Bay, you're out in your surfboard. Tell us about it.
Yes, well, when you're on top of a wave and you look down and you see a shape underneath with fins out that way.
How big?
And, it was pretty big. It was...
Yeah, that's sideways, yeah?
8 feet.
Yeah.
And I paddled like you wouldn't believe into the beach and got out of the water. It was a fairly large shark, I think.
Did you damage yourself?
I did.
Someone said you were going so fast you broke your toe when you hit the beach.
I did. I was talking, with Wayne Bennett out the back there, I'd love to have been the person that, broke my toe and then just kept on going, charging out of the water. I didn't. I fell down in a screaming heap, dropped the board, dinged it. So, but it was exciting, I can tell you.
6:20 on a Sunday night in 1992, Australia stopped, the news stopped, and the awesome foursome became part of our sporting folklore. You didn't know over there, you were just rowing.
Yeah, well, I mean, it was just extraordinary. I mean, rowing with Coops and Nick Green and Mike, who were all already inducted into the Sport Australia Hall of Fame, and Noel Donaldson, our coach. To go into that race, I mean, we went in as favourites, so we thought there was no upside, there was only downside. If we didn't win, that was, if we won, that was what we were supposed to do. If we didn't, it was a massive failure. So, to get across the line, just incredible relief. And then
came the good times. You went off to the Greek islands wearing a pair of thongs, a pair of shorts and your gold medal. Didn't pay for a drink or accommodation for, 3 weeks?
Oh, maybe longer.
Longer?
But that's the great thing about
There was no excess luggage on Etihad, I can promise you.
You finish in the first week, so you got a lot of time to celebrate with your crew mates, and that's the great thing about rowing. I mean, it is the ultimate team sport, I think, and to do it with a great bunch of guys, and your life's tracking along in a particular direction. You just win a race, and all of a sudden you're off on a tangent, and it was fantastic memories and great friendships, clearly. Well,
our memory, of course, is Goulburn Valley Fruit, because you came back and did that fantastic commercial, probably the worst commercial in the history of Australian TV.
Hang on.
Or was that the follow-up?
No. It's great walking down, Burke Street in Melbourne, and there's that rower, there's that guy off the fruit ad. It's.
And you got a car, didn't you? They got a Golden Holden.
Yes,
I think Andrew Cooper's still driving his.
Clearly I'm the last of the interviewees because I'm getting all the good questions here, but we did get a Golden Holden, yes.
Sydney was a disappointment. You went in, you lost your partner, and in fairness, Matthew Long, the two of you got bronze, did a great job.
Yeah, well, I mean, we... You
hadn't been going together long, had you?
No, Drew and I were rowing together, and we went to the European Championships in Lucerne about 6 weeks before the Olympics, and there were 2 Australian crews, and whichever finished ahead was going to go to the Olympics. And so it was myself and Drew and Dave Scott, Scott and Waitman. Drew, during the warm-up for the heats, ruptured a couple of discs in his back. So he was in agony and was taken away to hospital. So Matt Long jumped in and he had to learn to row with his oar out the other side of the boat, which he hadn't done. It's like right-handed or left-handed. So in 15 minutes he had to learn that, and then we ended up winning the heat, winning the semi-final and winning the final, and went to Sydney and got a bronze medal. So incredibly proud of that. And I think that regatta in Lucerne was, all the things that everyone in this room knows about and the Sport Australia Hall of Fame knows about it, just, when your back's against the wall, you sort of find something. So
Drew came back with you in Athens, though. That was a great achievement.
Oh, absolutely. I was 39 years of age and Drew was 8 years in between Olympics, and to race at that race was just extraordinary. Probably, I think it was one of my favourite races because we had such a margin. We were able to actually enjoy crossing the finishing line rather than sprinting madly to get there or trying to hold off other crews. So to actually be able to enjoy it was pretty cool.
In the video, Tony Charlton talked about you starting your career in an 8 and finishing at an 8 in Beijing. How close were you to competing in London in a 7th Olympics?
Well...
Did you give it any thought?
Well, I did give it a lot of thought, actually. I would have loved to have, but I would have, if I had have tried, I would have been doing it for the wrong reasons. I would have been doing it just to go to a 7th Games rather than the previous 6. It was all about trying to do as well as I possibly could. And with, the family and children and trying to get them through school and whatnot. So, your priorities change a little bit. And as I said before, I think rowing is the ultimate team sport. And if you can't commit 100% to your crewmates, then there's no point doing it. So,
and it's tough, I suppose. It's tough, I suppose, being at the Olympics when your kids are at university.
Yeah, well, it is. It is tough. Yeah. But you can do it.
Yeah, you can. Hey, Michael Klim and Ian Thorpe, don't worry, this bloke is still thinking about Rio. One last question. Oh, this will be good. Yep. It was Gary Fenton and Peter Campbell are down there. And I know Gary signed you up to work at London. How hard was it being on the other side of the water?
Oh, it wasn't hard. Well, I mean, the first day I went to the regatta, I thought, the butterflies and everything was starting to work out, but it was brilliant to be able to watch all the races and call it with James Brayshaw. I think it was more barracking than calling, but it probably came out in the K4 and the kayaking, but we had an absolute ball, and it was a fantastic regatta, both the rowing and the kayaking, and the course in a high school, to have a rowing course in a high school is pretty cool. And the camera above it, I think, just took rowing to another level, and people get a real understanding of what the sport's all about.
I don't think the old Etonians would be too happy being called a high school. But, ladies and gentlemen, James Tomkins.
No, thank you. Okay.